I'm going to call to order the regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting for the town of Simsbury. Today is Tuesday, May 12th, 2020, and the time is approximately 7:03 p.m. I'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I have the flag ready if someone wants to share or let me share. Host, come on, host. Is that you, Mike, or Laura?
Laura's the host now.
There we go. Okay. Could all join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So I will just stop sharing for the moment here. Okay. Pledge of Allegiance taken care of. Now I'll take the roll call. I just need to open something up. Okay. I'll take the roll. Just let me know if you are here. Holly Bem. Absent. Okay. David Blumey. Absent. Aaron Levitt Smith. Absent. Craig McCormack. Absent. Alan Needham.
Here.
William Rice. Here. Reggie Cortez.
Here.
Julie Eaton. Absent. Sean Glenn.
Here.
All right. So I'm going to take this opportunity to promote both Sean and Rich to be seated. That brings our commission to a quorum. Minimum number is 4 to conduct business. So we have a quorum and we shall continue. Okay, so we have some minutes to approve. Alan, would you mind sharing those with us?
No, we actually have minutes for 2 dates. Why don't we do April 14th first? Is that okay?
Yep.
They were sent out. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to look at them. So considering the minutes of April 14, page 1, does anybody have any corrections? It's much better, Mike. Anything on page 1 for April 14?
No.
Nope. All right. Page 2. I didn't see anything there. Did anybody else?
No, no comments from me.
Nope. Okay.
So I'll move to accept the minutes of meeting for the April 14th, 2020 meeting as submitted.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor of accepting the minutes, please say aye. Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? Okay. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, Alan, let's go on to the next one.
All right, April 28th, page 1. Page 2, I have a minor thing at the last word, or line 56. I think the word construction should be singular.
And sorry, I have one for page 1.
Okay, go back.
Trying to find it. Line 19, I was also absent.
You weren't here, Sean? I had you present last
For
night. For the 28th.
The video thing, you sure you weren't here?
Oh, no, it's okay. I'm thinking of the one before.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, good.
All right, let's go back to page 2, line 56. I think that should be new construction, singular instead of constructions.
That's what mine says, construction now.
Mine's got an S. Look,
Good.
don't believe me?
You gotta stop working with preliminary copies.
I don't know. Anyway, so if you've got the official copy, Bill.
Good.
Okay, I think it's been addressed.
Okay. Anything else on that page? All right, page 3.
Okay, yeah. If no one has anything until the bottom, I have a few comments starting at line 139. So it currently says Chairman Rice noted that he did not feel that all of the suggested changes are consistent with the POCD. Actually, I can't remember verbatim what I said, but what I meant was that the revised regulations didn't appear to address the actions assigned to the Planning Commission that's in the 2017 POCD. So,
Just clear that up for me, Bill. Say that again.
okay. Right now it said that it felt that the suggested changes are not consistent with the POCD. That's what the minutes say.
Right.
But what I really meant to say was that I don't think the revised regulations took into consideration
Right.
the actions in the POCD.
What the POCD calls for. Right. That's more like, I'm not sure verbatim, but that's more like what I remember you being at.
So anyway, I have some revised sentence. So Chairman Rice noted that he felt these suggested changes did not consider the actions in the 2017 POCD. Kind of reword it that way.
Would it be cleaner to say reflect the language in the 2017 POCD? I can't speak for you, but I'm just
No,
trying
I was really focused on the actions, the actual action items we have at the end of each section.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Okay. So, Mike, I don't know if it's you or Laura or Amanda taking notes here, but did you get that?
We got it.
Okay. Then in the next line, I just like to add something. Chairman Rice will put together a statement, and after the word statement, please add to the chairman of the Planning Commission. That was my intent, was to write to Dave.
No,
Dave
not
Ryan.
Planning Commission, you mean zoning.
Oh, sorry, zoning. Yeah, I'm going to write a note to myself.
I was going to wait to point that out.
Yeah.
David's here, Bill.
I see Mr. Bloomy. Hello, Dave.
You're muted, Dave.
Yeah, you're muted.
I'm unmuted.
Yep, you are now unmuted. Okay,
Sorry, I'm late. I presume by now you've replaced me.
Well, we actually haven't really replaced you, but we enlisted the alternates to make a quorum. But
Good.
we can add you as being present to the meeting and a voting member.
Yeah, and we still keep the 2 alternates.
And we still keep the 2 alternates. Now we have 5 members of the commission present.
Thank you.
Okay. Bill, I think we're down to the last page of the minute.
Yeah, I had no further comments.
Okay, I guess we're good.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the April 28th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting with the corrections as noted. Someone like to second that?
Second.
Sean seconds. Okay, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor of accepting the motion to accept the minutes as noted, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I'll abstain since I wasn't there.
Rich Cortez abstains. Okay, the motion carries. Looks like we lost Dave. Good job. Good job. Very complete minutes. Okay. Now let's move on to our next item, referrals from the Zoning Commission. So this is the comprehensive rewrite and reorganization of the zoning regulations, application 20-06. That's a zoning commission application. Mike, last time you brought us through the change in structure with the way the chapters were organized. We had some discussion regarding workforce housing overlay zone, specifically its proximity to Hop Meadow Street. I think, Alan, that was your comment.
Yep.
And I also made the comment about the lack of inclusion, or at least consideration, of the actions assigned to the Zoning Commission in the POCD. So our instructions were to review the zoning regulations again, and hopefully we could make some type of referral to the to the Zoning Commission tonight to support their meeting on the 18th of May. Right. So, Alan, did you have more comments?
Yeah, I spent much of the afternoon looking at some of this stuff. I just had a couple questions, or one anyway, before workforce housing, Mike. Under attached accessory dwelling units, just without going through all this, I don't think you have to, but just tell me I know there's been problems with accessory dwelling units, but can you tell me what problems the new stuff solves that we used to have?
So actually, that regulation is in their regulations currently.
Okay, so
they've actually changed that. That's not changed. The only thing that's changing is the detached accessory units. We cleaned up the language in that section because there's a little bit of a conflict between the two sections, but it's not substantive changes. Basically, it's saying, I think it was referring back to the other section with having to deal with the attached units. And one of the things was that if you did an attached unit to a house, that you had to make it architecturally match the house and have a shared portion somehow so that there's a functioning door between the two units. Obviously, it doesn't work if you're putting the accessory unit in a detached structure. So that was part of what we did on the cleanup.
All right. So, Bill, I don't know how you want to do this, but I still have some concerns about the workforce housing, a couple questions and some concern about it with regard to the POCD. The number's a little different than I thought. So it's, as I understand it, it says that the subject property shall be located within a linear distance of 750 feet from Hop Meadow Street.
Right.
Okay? So my first question is, does that mean the entirety of the project has to be within 750 feet or one edge of it?
One edge of the parcel.
Oh, so it could be 750 feet from Hop Meadow and then extend for whatever, 2, 3, 4 acres?
That's correct.
Okay, that makes me wonder why I put it along Hop Meadow Street if it's not along Hop Meadow Street. But then, yeah, that's pretty vague to me. But I don't see any language in here about consistency with the neighborhood it's pushing up against? I mean, if you think about it, this could be, say, 2 acres, a 2-acre development that begins 750 feet off Hop Meadow, which pushes it deep into many neighborhoods along Hop Meadow Street. Hop Meadow Street, for your information, don't ask me how I know, has somewhere between 95 and 100 houses right on Hop Meadow Street. But that number really doesn't matter if this means that you could jump over those houses, jump over a whole neighborhood and plant this in another neighborhood. So what have we really gained with this? I mean, this is like Climax Road. They took a big lot with one house and they put 19 houses, I think it is, on it. I don't know what we gain by pegging Hop Meadow Street as a place to start the measurement when it can be any measurement. So it could be, it has to, well, let me get clear on this. It can be right on Hop Meadow Street, or its furthermost line to Hop Meadow Street could be 750 feet away. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. And there's no width measurement, so it could be 750 feet away from Hop Meadow Street and half an acre wide or 10 acres wide. It could be anything. So there's no limitation on how many acres are involved and very little limitation on where you put it. So I have a couple issues with this. One is partly philosophical, but why we're sticking those neighborhoods within, say, it could be a quarter of a mile of Hop Meadow Street with the risk of a workforce housing and giving the rest of the town a buy. Why there? Why not Terrafil? Why not West Ledge? Why not any Mountain Road? Why not any of those roads or portions of them? Why is it all on, or it isn't on, all near or might be near Hop Meadow Street? Why? What is there about that when Hop Meadow Street contains most of our historic buildings? Hop Meadow Street is the most visible street in town. It's how we identify what Simsbury is. When I first moved there, a lot of people said, "Where are you moving?" And I told them where. And so many people said, "Oh, it's nice there." And they were talking about Hop Meadow Street. So why are we relegating or requiring that the workforce housing be along Hop Meadow at all? And the fact that it could be 750 feet away from Hop Meadow, I don't know what we gain there. I just don't think that's written that well. To begin with, that phrase I just read, or the sentence, located within a linear distance of 750 feet, that's just not clear. That's just not clear, because you could read that it has to be all no further than 750 feet, or it could begin at 750 feet. Am I wrong there? Because when I read that, I just wasn't clear on that. So I don't think that's written very well. And again, I object to dumping those developments along Hop Meadow Street when there's lots of viable neighborhoods, and a variety of neighborhoods too. To make it 750 feet, if you're going to stick with that, I don't know why you would, but if you're going to stick with that, that's a very different proposition in different parts of Hop Meadow Street. If you look at the POCD, it says to ensure the appropriate development of the different areas along Hop Meadow Street. This is treating all of Hop Meadow Street like it's the same thing, and it's not. It's very different. The POCD talks about the west side of Hop Meadow Street being different than the east side in some parts. Certainly the downtown area, the town center, is remarkably different. And up by where Big Y is going, that's remarkably different. So it's too broad. It's open to interpretation.
So
it fits POCD.
Yeah, Mike, can you remind me again, what was the reasoning for adding this requirement to the regulation?
So the zoning commission, the Climax Road application, when that was the WAS application, kind of opened the eyes to the zoning commission that the WAS can land anywhere. So one thing that the zoning commission discussed was, well, if we're going to have this regulation, they'd prefer that it was near Route 10. So then the discussion was, well, what's an appropriate distance? And staff did a map kind of illustrating what 500, 1,000, and 1,500 feet look like from Route 10. Mm-hmm. We landed on 750 because that's the distance from Cambridge Crossing from Route 10. And the commission felt, one was not to create Cambridge Crossing as non-conforming because it wouldn't qualify for the distance. But two, where that was, they felt it was an appropriate use of the regulation, similar to what they envisioned when the regulation was passed back in 2013, I believe, to 2012. So that's how we landed on the 750. I think just one other point to Alan's point about the difference of sections of Route 10. I will agree with that, and it's as he points out in the POCD that sections of Route 10 are very different from each other. But the one thing, just for a comment, is just the process. If an applicant were to apply for a WAS application, regardless if this distance is applied or not, it would be a zone change application where the zoning commission would have a lot of legislative authority on determining whether it was appropriate to approve the scale and location of the development. And also this commission would have some referral input on that from consistency from the POCD. So the process, although it's in the regs, I just want to remind everyone it is a zone change application in order to do this. So it's not something that's similar to a special exception or a site plan where there's, for the most part, site plan more so than a special exception. It's a use that there's an understanding it will land, not could land, it will land. Versus the WAS, because like I said, it's a zone change application. It's a legislative action of the zoning commission. There's a lot of extra discretion that's given to the zoning commission on locating something. And that's kind of the history of the two WAS applications. One was viewed as more appropriate than the other. Sorry.
No, are you done?
Yep, I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, here's what I'm concerned about. To rely on the good sense and goodwill of the zoning commission, I'd rather rely on written regulations. I like it when you know what's going to happen because that's what the regs say. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be flexible sometimes, and in some cases write language that's a little iffy. I get that. But to say, oh, don't worry, well, I'm not saying Mike's saying that, but if the argument was, don't worry about it, this would require zone change and the zoning commission would get a good look at it. Because this very issue came up once when the PAD came along, which is similar, although more restrictive. Sean, for what this means is imagine a floating zone out in the air somewhere, and it's going to land somewhere, and the regulations no longer pertain to the zone underneath, but the one that landed on top of it. Okay? So if you want to build a thing and the zoning doesn't allow for it, and you can get, maybe it's a housing complex with a lot of density, and you can get a workforce housing zone, it lands on top of an existing zone and replaces it. All right, so let's say that somebody comes along, and like they did a few years ago, and we were told by the then planner, which was a couple planners ago, not to worry. Anytime a PAD comes along, the zoning commission will get a good look at it, and they won't let anything go in there, and they'll be consistent with the POCD. That's exactly how we got Cumberland Farms, by the way. that the zoning commission went bent over backwards to put that in there, putting in a gas station that required a mixed use, and the mixed use never happened. So I'd much prefer that this be in the regulation.
So, Alan, can you tie that back to the POCD? Because you have an opportunity to go to the zoning commission public hearing and make your personal thoughts known.
The last time I tried that, because I was on that planning commission, they told me to sit down. But you may be right, Bill. We'll see. I sound like I hate these guys, and I don't. I just disagree with this. I'll try and tie it to the POCD. I don't think that there's enough written in the regulation to make clear what it calls for. The 750 feet starts where? I don't think that's clear enough. I don't think there's any reference in this in terms of adherence to the POCD, even a mention that follow the guidelines of the POCD with regard to existing neighborhoods. There's no language like that. And to say that, well, not to worry because we get to give them our opinion about it, that doesn't matter either because they're not required to follow that opinion. We're no more influential, I think, than somebody at a public audience. I think if you want to adhere to the POCD, that we have to write something that does that. You might say we would get our shot at it if it was came to us as a referral, and we can say if it adheres to the POCD. But I'd rather have language in the regulation itself that says that one of the things they'll consider is consistency with the character and makeup, whatever language works, we've used it before, of the existing neighborhood, because this could push deep into a neighborhood.
Right.
And it could push deep into a neighborhood anywhere in town, frankly.
Yep. So, to your point, Alan, on page 90 of the 2017 POCD.
Let me get there. Yeah.
It's under section 10.1B, neighborhood integrity.
Yes.
And the one
Can I ask
before.
a question? Did we start at 7 instead of 7:30?
We did.
Was that anywhere in the emails?
It was not.
It's on the town website as a 7 o'clock start.
Yeah.
I
Right, but for the last 2 weeks, we started at 7:30. So that's why I thought I was early.
Yeah, Aaron, you're on mute. I know you want to say something, but we can't hear you. So, okay.
Page 90, Bill. I'd add in page 74.
Okay.
6, that's where the POC discuss or suggests some different approaches to development along different roadway segments along Route 10. This treats Route 10 like it's the same everywhere. And ironically, it almost doesn't matter what Route 10 is like. This is almost an eighth of a mile off it. It could be. Or it could be right on it. And that's what concerns me. And there's a lot of neighborhoods. As I said, there's 95 houses by my count anyway, right on Route 10 from Avon to Granby. If you include the houses behind it, I mean, you're talking hundreds of homes. If you built like a 80 Climax type thing, 4 acres, that'd be a lot. So I would say maintaining neighborhoods, that it doesn't reflect what the POCD talks about, different fixes for different neighborhoods.
Mike, how do you want to do this? You want Alan to write something up and submit it to you?
You could do that, or I captured these two things, these two portions of the POC that you noted, along with the details concerning, such as the different approaches along segments of Route 10, maintaining neighborhoods, et cetera, that were on page 90, 10.1b.
And also it talks about in this POCD treating the west side of Route 10 differently than the east side. In some parts of town it says that. The historic district, the downtown area, should be treated differently.
And these are all related to the workforce housing overlay zone section of the regulations, proposed regulations. Yep.
Now I'm going to go a step further and tell you, I'm not comfortable voting on this tonight until I see what the language is.
So if the commission doesn't take action, the public hearing is scheduled for next Monday. No action by the commission, if they were to close the hearing, will be taken under statute as an positive referral.
Well, and we can't expect them to go for a postponement. That's a hell of a note, by the way.
Well, we could have a brief special meeting on Thursday.
True.
I think all we need is 24 hours notice, right?
Yes, but unfortunately, you will not have a staff member Thursday. I have a medical appointment, a medical procedure scheduled for Thursday. Yeah. So, well,
you know the lesson here. The lesson here is when you're going to rewrite zoning regulations, you ought to have a sit down with the planning commission and get some ideas what we think is important. You don't forget, you guys, it's this, because they don't read the PLCD.
I heard talk of a workshop in the last meeting, Alan, and I was waiting for that. I was excited about it.
A workshop for a general talk is great, okay? But when you're rewriting regulations, what do we do that's more important than this? Oh, my goodness. Because how many times do we get frustrated because, well, that's what the regulations say. Well, let's have a little influence in what the regulations say. They write them, but they really ought to sit down with us and say, by the way, we're going to restructure the workforce housing. What ideas do you have? Well, you better be careful because the PLCD says that I just think that's a better approach. We're at the tail of the dog here. We ought to be at the other end. Anyway, what do we do about our current problem?
I'd prefer to have an agreed upon statement tonight. So either Mike writes it now, or Alan, you write something down. And
if we had it tonight, Bill, what do we do? Send it along and saying as long as you change it to this?
Well, no, we can consider a negative referral.
Bill is correct.
Look, if we gave it a negative referral, okay, and they made a couple fixes, can't we look at it again with the fixes and have the opportunity for a positive referral then? I know that's slower than you want to go, but this is a big deal. This affects the heart of the town. Why can't we do that? I don't know how people are going to vote, but if we voted a negative referral, we could always reconsider it again, have it resubmitted to us with some changes. And this time maybe we ought to talk to each other.
Well, Mike, do they have a statutory time frame?
So right now, the statutory time frames actually have been extended by 90 days by the governor. So we're opening the hearing on the 18th. If this was life as normal, we'd have 35 days to close the hearing. That has been extended to 90 days by executive order. So one thing that could happen is if you were to send a negative referral with some comments saying, please consider changing language to section, like kind of what Alan's suggesting, as long as the public hearing is open, they could possibly say, hey, let's look at this section, redraft this, or they can say, we're not going to touch this section right now, and let's sit down with the planning commission and really revise this very, specific section for the workforce housing in order to address this issue. If that makes sense, but even that's something I would say if you're going to send a negative referral is possibly not only noting kind of what Alan has already did, the very specific sections of the POCD that you feel this particular update does not conform, but also throw in some language that you would ask that the commission consider changes to the language of this section, and that the planning commission be consulted with those changes. So if you're going to do the negative, not only gives you the negative, but you're also asking to have a seat at the table on any changes in order to address the negative referral. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I understand.
I think that's okay. I don't know as we have to meet if they simply come up with better language and send it back.
Yeah, but what if we don't like that, Alan?
Well, that's a good point.
You know, I'd like to avoid the ping pong, game.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think asking for a seat at the table is probably what you want.
Yeah.
And it avoids what Bill just said. You don't become the ping pong ball that's going back and forth, or the regulations become the ping pong ball.
Okay. The fact that I'm the secretary only means that I sit next to Bill. That's all that means. But if you want me to write up something and run it by you, Bill, to see what your thoughts are on it, you want me to do that? Within 24 hours? No.
I don't know how that will.
Well, we want to send something in writing to the zoning commission.
Yes.
Okay. And I just thought you'd like a look at it before we send it.
Well, what day is the 18th? That's
It's coming Monday.
Oh, Monday.
So I guess the first thing you'd have to do is take a vote on the negative referral.
Yeah, we may not.
Let me maybe assess. So you'd have to take a vote on the negative. I would strongly recommend, if you're going to take a vote on the negative, that any motion to make a negative referral is specific with kind of sort of what Alan has already brought up before. And in that motion, you could authorize the secretary to prepare correspondence to be reviewed by the chairman and signed by the chairman for the Monday meeting of the zoning commission.
What do you think, Bill?
So
we can do that. Okay, let's hold that thought for a minute. I have a procedural item we need to address here. We have two additional attendees now. So Aaron and Holly have joined us. I've already promoted 2 alternates to full members for tonight. And now with
that's only fair.
Yeah, well, it leaves me in a little bit of a pickle because we still have. Let me see.
Bill, I'll sit out, but I just want to go on record. We need to be consistent. I just read emails.
You're
and
right.
I took
Me
great
too.
pain in checking them before this meeting and double and triple checking the time. It said 7:30.
I don't know. I don't know where it said that, Aaron.
In the email.
No.
I checked my emails. And so when I hear somebody saying it was on the website, what are we going with? I'm going by what was sent to me, and it clearly said 7:30. So I'm just saying, the last time there was a mix-up, I took responsibility because I thought it was 7 and it was clearly 7:30, but we've been meeting at 7:30. It said the Board of Ed was meeting beforehand. Holly had the same thing. And, I am working 12-hour days on my job, so I've taken time to make sure I'm checking.
Yeah.
And so I'm annoyed. I just want to go on record. So I think we need to be consistent. And please be clear. And if there's change to the time, it needs to be sent in an email or text or something.
Oh, come here.
I agree with Aaron. I just checked the email I received yesterday. There's no mention of the time. I just checked the agenda. There's no
I'm mistaken. I'm here.
And to your point, Rich, I was here at 7 last time, which it says on the website, but nobody, we were told, you guys are too early. So,
yeah. Okay. So it's clear there was there was confusion, and I'm sure town staff apologizes for that. But okay, so Aaron, you are going to volunteer to stay. I don't even know what I call you, absent, and.
Hey, listen, if anybody wants to be on, you can demote me.
I'm not going to be absent because I'm not absent, but because
We're
I wasn't here at
abstaining.
7, so do whatever you want, but I'm not agreeing to being absent because I wasn't.
Bill, demote me and put her in. I'm fine with that.
Well, then it's more complicated too.
That's right. I don't want to be
Are you
promoted.
comfortable voting
neither.
for
Me
something
neither.
when you miss the discussion?
Right.
I'm not saying it's your fault, but that's what happened.
I agree with Aaron. I don't want to be promoted. You've already done that. We just feel like, hey, I'm working these. I've got to go back to work after this, and I made special plans to do this, and I could have been here at 7. I just thought I didn't want to spend a half hour that I didn't.
All right, and we don't need to debate it because other people were here at 7. Okay, I understand you guys were here at 7:30, and I actually expected it. I mentioned it to Mike earlier when I talked to him a little bit. There was no time on the agenda. There was no time in the email. I don't know how updated the town website is as far as meeting times go. So let's get past that. I'm going to mark you guys as latecomers and non-voting members.
Okay.
Okay? So Dave, Sean, Bill.
I want to know though, where are we getting the time from? And it needs to be consistent and it needs to be clearly stated in an email so this doesn't happen again.
Going to be posted on the agenda.
Aaron, we'll address that. I'll take the blame on that. We will address that. Myself and Laurel make sure that doesn't happen again.
Okay, so voting members tonight: David Blumey, Sean Glenn, Bill Rice, Alan Needham, and Rich Cortez. Okay, do any of you have any other comments regarding the application regarding the update of the zoning regulations? No. Okay. So I want to get in there. I was not going to make it a grounds for a negative referral, but I would like to have in the documentation notation to the effect that the zoning commission needs to consider the actions that were set forth in the 2017 POCD, the ones assigned to the zoning commission.
Their to-do list, you mean?
Yeah, their to-do list.
Yep. As far as the language of this, I want to scour the POCD a little more tomorrow, but my scouring today led me to 2 sections anyway. One you mentioned, Bill, section 10.1, and one I brought up was section 8.8. Could we have a motion just with those 2 and leave it a little more open-ended so I can write up something and send it to you for your signature, I guess, to send over to zoning? That is if the vote tonight is a negative referral. Otherwise, it doesn't matter.
All right, so someone has to craft a motion. I guess I'll take a stab at it. Okay. Let me just write a couple notes to myself first. Okay, let me try this. So I make a motion that we return a negative referral to zoning application 20-06 for a comprehensive rewrite and reorganization of zoning regulations based on the lack of adherence to the POCD, specifically items 10.1A and 10.1B on page 90 of the 2007 POCD.
And 8.8?
And 8.8, which is on page 75.
Correct.
Period. And also as part of this motion, the commission will grant authority to the secretary and the chairman to finalize the wording of the letter that will be included with the negative referral. So it'll buy us a day. Okay, Alan, you and I will have to work together.
Yeah.
With Mike.
I'll have it done by midday tomorrow.
Okay. So I'm asking the commission in this same motion to grant the authority to the secretary and the chairman to finalize the wording to use in the negative referral. Okay.
And then, okay, that's the end of your motion. Let's vote on that. Then I'll ask you what your intention is. So then once we vote on this, okay, the idea is to get this cleaned up before.
Yeah, okay, let's, Mike, did you capture the motion?
I did.
Okay, so I'm looking for a second.
Second.
All right, so Bill made the motion, Rich seconded. Is there discussion, Alan? Yeah.
You poor people, you're never going to want to see me again. No, I've done what I can. But then the idea is, are we hoping that they fix this by Monday, by the public hearing? Or they can extend the public hearing,
right. I think they can extend the public.
Then we'll be okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Mike, also, part of the crystallization of the wording will include collaborating between the two commissions to come to terms on this item.
Now, the ghost in the room is, it is possible, is it not, for zoning to say, so what? They gave it a negative referral. We're going to pass it anyway. Yes,
they could do that.
They could do that, which tells us a lot, I think.
Yeah. So I guess I'd also like to tack on to that. I guess since it's a negative referral, another reason for the negative referral is the lack of evidence of addressing the action items assigned to the zoning commission located in the 2017 POCD. Now, between us commissioners, I had this little email conversation. Well, okay, we're in the middle of a motion here.
No discussion. You want to call a vote?
I would question adding that second piece to your motion.
Okay.
I agree with the idea in terms of having zoning and the other departments address the items that were given to them as a part of the POCD, but I don't think it falls within the negative vote on this. I think there is sufficient basis for a negative vote on the lack of specificity on the workforce housing, the dimensions, anyway, all the points that Alan made.
Okay. Then
I really wonder whether or not you're just doing a little dig on to add this last part.
Yeah, it does seem like it's like, okay, I'll withdraw that comment.
We can deal with that, Bill, any conference we have with them. That can come up then.
Yeah, and we can always address it separately.
Yeah.
You know, at another opportunity to make revisions to the regulations. But of course, you know, that's a big deal. That involves a public hearing and all this stuff. So I think it was maybe just a missed opportunity. I know that the objective of the rewrite was, you know, clarity and reorganization. It wasn't necessarily addressing the action items in the POCD. And that's how it was explained to me. Yeah, Holly.
Well, to your point, I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk if I'm not seated, but
yeah, actually, you cannot. We are in deliberations at this point.
Okay.
Sorry, but we'll give you a chance after we vote. Okay.
I guess that you had since we are referring to the POCD and the POCD specifically said these should be changed, and here are the new changed regulations. I thought your point was valid. And
yeah, we'll address it separately. Okay. Any other salient comments? Okay. So all in favor of returning a negative referral based on the discussion we had on workforce housing overlay zone. And remember, the motion includes the authority for the secretary and chairman to finalize the wording before submittal to the zoning commission. All in favor of the negative or the motion, which is a negative referral, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, everybody raise your hand. Who said aye, please? Okay. Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries unanimously. All right, so Alan and me have a little work to do, and Mike, we'll get it done tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So, Holly, did you got to say what you wanted to say, right? Well, you're on mute.
yeah. Oh, yes. I mean, I really did think that it was pertinent, but it's too. It doesn't matter now.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, on to the next order of business is the Plan of Conservation and Development update, specifically the affordable housing plan that Mike Glidden has been working on. Mike, can you bring us up to speed with any potential advancements?
So I got comments from Alan, which I'm going to incorporate into the document. I'm still working on it. I'm a little behind due to I got a little distracted this week with May 20th reopening responsibilities without temporary outdoor dining. So unfortunately I think I'm gonna miss my deadline for the second meeting in May, and it'll have to go for the first meeting in June. But I'm gonna try to get as much done for your next meeting so I can share a more updated document with the commission.
Okay. So if people still have comments, they can send them to you.
Yes, and I appreciate any comments.
Yep. Okay. Any correspondence we should know about, Mike? Anything else?
So you have two things. We will have to meet in 2 weeks. There will be a referral from the Board of Selectmen for a purchase of open space with a presentation, along with a preliminary meeting with the applicant that's directly related with this open space purchase. It's the Meadowood project. That's all. You'll have it in 2 weeks.
That didn't get postponed by the board?
No, they voted on it last night.
Okay.
So they voted on the referrals last night. The postponement was in the budget. It was taken out of capital, and they were postponing it for a November referendum. So it's not part of the budget right now. That's the postponement that occurred.
Gotcha.
But the referrals were issued last night by the Board of Selectmen. So that will be on your agenda at your next meeting. The only other thing I had for you is I received correspondence from FEMA May 20th, the new flood maps or the draft flood maps will be out. And I'm just doing this with all the land use commissions as a public service announcement that these maps will be sent digitally to the town. If anyone knows someone who lives in a floodplain or you live in or adjacent to a floodplain, please take a look at these maps because this will be used in determining whether you are required to carry flood insurance. And the lending institutions will know that these draft maps are out there and will be making determinations based on the new maps.
Are these maps like 500 years in the future kind of thing, like they're redoing them, or is it the usual?
So they did a restudy and engineering project of the Farmington River, a majority portion, Hop Brook, and a few other areas. So they're actually new maps that have been engineered. The lines will change on these. I can't comment to like whether it's going to benefit or hinder people, but these will be different maps than what's shown today. Because your current maps were last updated in 2008, but they were based on engineering studies from 1979. So the map's a little dated in the determination on the limits of floodplain.
Does this take into account any correction for climate change?
They said when they were doing their preliminary engineering, they're using current rainfall data.
Okay.
So whatever the latest thing from NOAA is, that's the data that they're using.
And sorry, where do we get these maps?
So when I receive the maps, we will try to, we're going to find out a way to upload them to the town website so it's available. We've also requested from day one this is about 18 months this project's been going on right now. When we were at our first discovery meeting in Burlington, we've asked the consultant for copies of their GIS data so we can upload that data onto our GIS when it becomes available so the public can access that information at any time. So hopefully we will get that stuff. And when we do get it, it'll be on the town website. And that's all I had for updates and correspondence.
Okay, thank you. Good. All right, so our next meeting is May 26th. May 26th. Right?
Yep,
May 26th.
That's correct.
And as far as we know, it'll be at 7 a.m. 7 p.m.
The time right now will be 7 p.m. If there's a time change, Laura will email the group with the time change. But Simsbury Community Television now could broadcast simultaneously 2 meetings. So that's the only reason why we were bumping our time back was to accommodate the Board of Education. But that issue has been resolved, so we will not be bouncing the time back unless there's some unforeseen reason.
So, Mike, even though we're opening on the 20th, we'll still be doing Zoom conferences until.
So right now, Town Hall is not. We're still. The thing is, the governor has the state is opening, but the governor has not lifted the ban on number of people for meetings.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So therefore. Yeah. We're probably going to be doing these Zoom meetings through the month of June. I don't think we'll see each other in the same room until July.
So let me interject for a second. I asked Public Building Committee the same thing. Since I don't know if I've had it or I'm communicable and I've been sick for 4 months, I would prefer to continue this format for myself, even if you guys start meeting in a room together, until I know positively that I'm not a threat to anyone. Is that going to be possible?
Why don't you get tested? You can get tested.
Yeah, because those are free and available. Millions of them. They're beautiful.
No, you can. Your doctor can get you one.
They don't give you one unless you're experiencing severe symptoms. They're not doing that yet. So if there's a way we can accommodate me at the point, because I don't want to get anybody sick, I'd appreciate it rather than missing.
Yes, well, let's talk offline, Rich.
Okay.
I know 2 ways for you.
Thank you.
Okay, Alan, I'm pretty booked in the morning tomorrow until about 10 o'clock. Anytime after that, if you want to, get on the phone together or email me, then we can settle on the words we want to use.
How about you don't have to take what I write, but how about I'll write something and email it to you? Should I use your town email address?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, take a look at your town email address by, say, noon.
Okay.
Let's have something, and then we can talk past that. It'll be quicker, I think.
Okay.
Content with that?
Yeah. So, Mike, if we get it to you by the end of the day tomorrow, yeah, you can. Yeah, are you going to be working on Friday?
I'll be able
get that.
to digitally.
Could you try again?
Bill, I couldn't hear you.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Still can't.
I'm not sure I understand.
I can hear you, Bill.
Yes, I can hear you.
They have. It's almost like
Here he goes.
Alexa is talking to me.
Yeah, me too.
Bill, if you can email me the stuff, I will have it digitally uploaded to the Zoning Commission's packet. Just CC Laura when you send it to me, just to make sure I get it.
All right, and then you'll take the words and put it on the town letterhead and everything, and transmit it to the Zoning Commission.
That's correct.
Okay, before Monday.
We will get it done.
I'll get it to you tomorrow morning, Bill.
Okay, Alan, thank you.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Sorry about the confusion today. I know it's frustrating, especially given everything else that's going on. But we'll try. We'll make it better next time.
Well, thanks to you, Bill, and Alan and Mike for taking the lead on getting the words taken care of.
Yep, you're welcome. All right. Anything else, anybody? No. Okay. Who would like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, David made the motion. Who's going to second? Alan, did you second?
I second it. Don't you guys want to go home?
We're all on mute.
Can't participate.
Okay, motions are made by Dave, seconded by Alan. Any discussion on the motion to adjourn? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. The meeting is adjourned.